Hey there, guys and gals. This is B.L. Blankenship, a man with so many accolades to put by his name that there's not room on the screen. So, anyway, um, as you know, I've been writing comics, reading comics, reviewing comics, hanging out with comic people, going to the comic shops, all that kind of stuff, movies, media, all that. That's really what this is right now. So, just kind of, fun, entertaining, good, easy, everything, um, all that. So, yesterday, last evening, and today, I have sat down and I read two brand new books. They came out this Wednesday. One of them is Benjamin Percy in Marvel Comics. Punisher number six creates a new arc for this new Marvel Benjamin Percy. He's the writer. Punisher series. It's more comic book-y, I'm going to call it, than the stuff prior. So, as for my personal taste, I like things that are more grounded. So when you talk about like the Batman, the movie The Batman, and the Penguin, those things, those are preferential to me because it's like it kind of could happen. You know what I mean? You don't have like all this like wild sci-fi, stuff. It's not like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So I prefer that. That being said, that means that I prefer Benjamin Percy's Red Band in issues 1 through 5 more than number 6. There's an enemy that comes out at number 6. By the way, there's spoilers in this video and probably any video that I just go ahead and make because I can. So if you don't like that, I'm not going to tell you every move by move, play by play, but there'll be someone. So the new villain that is introduced, its name is Collateral Damage, and Collateral Damage has a bullet that will keep going and going and going and going and going, like it's almost got like a rocket kind of pack type thing going. However, it's explained, it hits people in different boroughs in New York City. So we're talking about people being struck by the same singular bullet in Queens, in the Bronx, so on and so forth. Midtown Manhattan, all that. This thing is going. It can turn in the air. It can do like a 90-degree angle turn. How do you know that? Because it shows it. So the dude that's fired this thing has really got this teched up, like wild kind of thing going on. To me, it seems like the type of character that maybe, I don't know, Todd McFarlane might go ahead and make in like a comic of his. I don't even have my YouTube on right now. That's how I grab these off of the live thing. That's why I've got the headphones on. But yeah, so you have that is going on in there in that Punisher, a brand new Punisher series. Oh, and the name of the video. Well, it's gonna have to happen later. Well, let me go ahead and do that. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna change. Um, but yeah, so you've got him. He's going around doing that. At the end of the issue, the Punisher goes ahead and he finds the bullet. He's there with Microchip, and he pulls it out of the wall. And even though it's been at a complete dead stop, again, however you explain the science behind all of this, that bullet takes off once again, um, busts through his hand. And the villain that some way somehow knows this, maybe there's like a camera or some kind of identifier on this bullet that's kind of corkscrew shaped, but he's excited about this because the Punisher is who he was looking for with his little, I think we can call it a drone bullet. Um, that's probably about it. But yeah, it's long and it's like corkscrewed and it's going ahead and it's doing all of that garbage. So yeah, um, that's what the Punisher, with the new Punisher thing, is all about. Also, after that, I read, ooh, it's showing up nice and pretty. I read Dead Anchor Black Badge #1. Now, if you know Jack about me, let me just hold it up here while I'm talking about it a little more. If you know Jack about me, you know I'm the Western horror aficionado. When I stepped into writing fictional literature, instead of bouncing all over the place like most people do, I beat the same drum over and over and over again. The extremely broad genre of horror, but the period of westerns. So Western horror, that's actually a subsect of a subgenre because Western horror is a subsect of Weird West, which is a subgenre of horror. So yeah, but mine was more on the supernatural like type of end and things like that. Which so's a number of them. So this is a dude that his name is Crowley, like you know, like the devilly guy, Aleister Crowley. Um, he uh, he dies. He's not a good guy. He dies, meets an angel, all that. He's brought back to hunt like monsters, demons, you know. And so that's basically what the series is about, like how they got the church house behind him. But it's great. They told me down at my local comic shop, that's Nirvana Comics in Knoxville. Now they have a lot of comic shops around me, right? But Nirvana, they really have it together. There's a number of other ones that do. Comics Exchange is further down in Knoxville, so like the opposite way of the way home, even though it's slightly out of the way. And then there is Comic Shop Night, the Golden Age 1942 in Maryville. They're a really nice comic shop. They really have it together. And then there's a lot of smaller ones around. You've also got a decent sized one in Carnes Crypto Comics. So yeah, there's a bunch. There's a whole bunch around here. Knoxville is a hot spot for comic stuff. Nirvana's actually having Stephanie Phillips come down this July. This is 2026 on the 18th. Have her coming down. They've got a ticketed question and answer. Bam! Immediately sold out. People are like lining up to see Stephanie Phillips, which isn't weird because that's what I saw at Heroes Con. I mean, immense, huge lines to see her. She's currently writing Daredevil. She's written a lot of stuff for a myriad of publishers and all of that. I went to looking around to see, didn't find any of the shops around here that have it. If I wanted to hunt it, or grab it, I probably Lone Star would have it or something like that. You know, mycomicshop.com. But I was like, has she written anything that would really speak to me individually? And this is just me being personable and all that. And maybe you're like me, but probably not. But the comic that I thought seems like it would be the most appealing just by what it says that it's about. It is a true crime comic. You know, there's some women jumping up and down saying, yeah, that's my man. Yeah, you watch like the ID, you know, Discovery Channel stuff and all that about all, you know, Fear Thy Neighbor and all these serial killer shows and all that. Yeah, my sister, you know, there's a lot of women out there that are into that. I love you all. So this particular comic was called, I believe, it was at the Butcher Inn or a Butcher of Paris, and it's about a serial murder in the 1940s. So we're talking like Nazi occupied type stuff going on in Paris, France, and a detective that's trying to find the serial murderer in Paris, France. So she went ahead and she did like 5 part of that. They went ahead, they turned it into a trade. Nirvana didn't have it. Golden Age didn't have it. I believe it was done by Dark Horse. There's a lot of stuff that Dark Horse has did, to the point that when I was making my Hellfire series, they were my first pick. That they were the first one that I sent that pitch out to. I sent it to like a lot of people, and it's being done, not with them, but it's gonna go ahead and be done. But I mean, I thought, man, Dark Horse is such a good fit, but that was before they were bought up by whatever the group's name is that has them now, that collects video game things and all that kind of stuff, and they're trying to push like Lord of the Rings and all that. Certainly easier to push a franchise that already has a built-in audience, so long as you honor it. than anything new. So hey, I get it, whatever. I had spoke to Mike Richardson personally via email. Super duper nice guy. All he had said is, "Hey man, we're not really taking submissions right now." Now that may not have been the case, or it might have been kind of, back when I submitted it, because it was substantially before I was like, "Hey, I'm touching base again." Um, to get with y'all. But yeah, there was a few that I did that with, and then a bunch that I didn't. Some of the fun ones in Europe, for those of you that like write comics, that if you pitch to them, their thing will say, um, if we're not interested, we're just not going to write you back. So you're not going to get a no. You're just not going to hear from us. So they're polite enough to say that's the way that it's going to be. But yeah, so the Dead Acre book, Black Badge, very cool. The novels aren't just novels, but they're also included on audiobooks. And I want to especially recommend them because the dude that does the voice of the main character in Red Dead Redemption is the guy that reads the books. And the way that he reads them is like the way that he talks in the Red Dead Redemption stuff, very cowboy-esque, all gritty, and like he's talking through his teeth, and everything like that. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Okay. I've read a number of books that are like this. I don't want to get like my lines crossed or whatever, but I think that Dead Acre's the one where he comes eventually upon like a demon that is in a cave, and it's like playing a flute, and when it plays this weird flute, that it like paralyzes people. I think it's like a goat demon or something like that. I may be wrong though. I don't want to like get it twisted up with one or two other novels or novel series that I've read that are highly similar about cowboys hunting after the demonic. Because there's a few, but Dead Acre is, I mean, it came out hot, and there's a number of those books. There's several of them. It seems like that are out right now. I don't know how many I had made it through, but it was. I think it was at least two, at least, but it was enjoyable. It was good stuff, and I've listened to a lot of audiobooks, and I tend to retain things well. But where I listen to a lot of stuff that are crazy similar, sometimes the lines will get crossed. With which story, which character was this? So yeah, um, but I enjoyed it. Somebody at Nirvana said, "Man, you're good for going ahead and getting this in your poll because they're selling out insane, crazy fast." Do I think that could blow up into a bigger franchise? I absolutely do. I think that it could blow up into a video game franchise. I think that it could blow up into a animated series or a movie franchise. Any of that type of thing. I think that would be popular with people. It's presented that well. It's put together that well. Again, it's hot stuff from the get go, and I'm not just talking like a normal person. I'm talking about someone who can authoritatively speak about Western horror because I have listened to so many Western horror stories. I've read so many Western horror stories. I have watched so many Western horror movies. And in any and all things in that, you will have people that stare at you like a mule looking at a new gate, and they'll act like it's some unheard of thing. It's sizable. It's not as big as a lot of other stuff. That's why I was beating that singular drum to become a bigger fish in a small pond. Uh, I I put out a good quantity of things and anything that I do. I mean, you really get like quantity. I'm not saying that the quality's not there, because there's quality, to it, varying, be it whatever. But you get a good quantity. And why I say that and how I say that is, okay. In terms of gospel music, I've written over 100 songs, right? Not a huge deal. There's some people that have covered them. God bless you. I've written some really good songs, but at the same time, you've got somebody like Mark Lowry who sung with the Gaither vocal band, right? Tenor, Mark Lowry, and he had wrote one song, "Mary, Did You Know?" and like everybody and their cousin within gospel and secular for Christmas albums has pretty much, it feels like, covered Mary Did You Know. So one song that was explosively, wildly making enough money to make you wealthy, versus the 100 of my songs that, I've had some that have hit better than others, but nothing huge. I've had some close calls with people in Nashville that were going to do this, that, or the other, and I'm used to stuff like that because of that, and literature and anything, stuff like that. I just don't go around to get like all excited because I know how it goes. You get really close, and I mean, and they're like ready to sign the paper, and then for any reason or no reason at all, they don't. So whatever. It is what it is. But those are the books that I read here recently. Been watching all the John Wick stuff. I had not watched any of the John Wick stuff when it came out in the theaters. Okay, so I don't even remember how this came up. I think my wife wanted to see it or whatever, but it's like, let's watch the first movie. I watched the first movie, and this was my walk away from it. It's like, it's okay, you know. So if you watch the first John Wick movie, and if you're like me, if you're like, it's okay. I mean, it's got some action and all in it, but it's fine. It's not great. Every single movie in the franchise is better than the first movie. They may progressively get better. There are really interesting choreographed fight scenes in every movie in the John Wick stuff. All of it. They've all got like cool things going on. So right now there are 4 John Wick movies, and there's the Ballerina, which I watched last after seeing all 4 of the John Wick movies. And the Ballerina takes place during the timeline of number 3. And I recently put a thing out there, and I'm like, how does this make any sense? And are there plot holes in this? And I looked it up on Chat GPT, and it's like, well, it could totally make sense, even though I really question that, right? Because we're talking about time. At what time period, based on the events, I'm not even really doing a whole bunch of spoiler stuff right now, based on the events that take place in John Wick number 3. He becomes like excommunicado and stuff like that. Traveling that big of a distance, being called by these people for him to, I'm talking about his cameo specifically in it, his parts in this, because if he wasn't in it, it wouldn't matter. Or if it took place before the first movie, which we clearly know that it doesn't, because there's a scene from the John Wick movies that happens in the Ballerina, which lets you know where this is happening in the timeline. For him to go to this place where the final battle is out in Europe, to this little cute town. I love that town, by the way. There's a cult that lives there, but so everybody in the town is going to shoot you and kill you, basically. But that's not giving a whole lot away. But the girl, the main character, the Ballerina, Eve, she's there, and she's trying to get the main bad guy, and John Wick gets called in. He's called in to stop her, so there won't be a war against families and stuff. And I'm like, how could that possibly have happened? If you have answers, please give me those answers. It is an enjoyable series, though. I've not read the Dynamite comics. I know that Dynamite did a 5-issue series of that. There was also a John Wick magazine that was done by someone. I don't know how many issues that was, but I did see it on League of Comic Geeks. Since I found out about the Dynamite thing, I just double checked stuff. That's like there's been 2 different Dexter short runs. The serial murder that has multiple series. It's actually based off of a series of books where he's way less sympathetic. But okay. But yeah, there's going to be a John Wick number 5, which will be a prequel to all the John Wicks. So there's no real thing there. There's going to be a John Wick spinoff of about Kane. That is the blind Asian guy that has the sword cane. That's he's the assassin in John Wick 4 that is sent after him. I wonder if it'll take place after the end of that. It doesn't really show you if he died or not, or if the person going to kill him, the daughter of the man that he killed, dies. That's the end credit scene, and it just shows you that there's going to be a face off, and then it goes click, and it doesn't show you a body. So we don't know what happened. but he might very well have just brought it because he can bring it. Weirdly, but there's going to be a spinoff on him, and there's also going to be like an animated series about John Wick that follows after the events of I think the fourth movie, where he is supposedly dead. We're left to believe that he's dead. I honestly don't know that he's dead. We don't really ever see him die. We see his headstone. We see certain people acting like he's dead, but then there are answers that if you've been around people that are evasive, you know, the question is, do you think John's in heaven or do you think that he's in hell? And Winston says, who knows? So that's that. You know, I wonder. I really wonder if he's covering for him, and you know, if he's just like a ghost now, like he doesn't exist, like he's dead even though he's not. I don't know. You, the audience, don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was alive. Um, you know, you could. I mean, you could make a movie that took like place way after this. Have him like Gray, you know, that took place like way after this, like Old Man Logan, and it's John Wick. So I'm not sure, but no, hey, that's really my quick little video thing here. You need to change the title. I don't know. I, I don't know what to do for the titles of these. I think maybe I need to say like specifically this is about this or that's about that instead of just like comic talk or whatever. Because maybe it would lure people in more. But you know, you let me know what you think. The comments are open. You can comment on any of this. You can snip. You can clip. You can whatever. I mean, it's there for you. I'm trying to do a different background on each and every one of them, so you'll know that it's a totally new video. And if it has to do with any kind of particular thing, like this was just me talking about comics, then I'll have comics behind it. But if it's about a movie, if it's about, you know, a particular individual or whatever, I'll probably have them like splattered up behind me in the background. Thanks, y'all. Like and subscribe to this channel if you want to like stay in the know when I'm putting things out there coming at you in no real like order or time or whatever. It's just kind of when I take a notion, it's like, hey, I'll be off, so you might get something here on the weekends or whatnot because this is a holiday weekend. I'm off, like today's Friday. That's not normal, but yeah, I don't know that I'll schedule them or anything, even though I would probably see a virtue in doing that, because when I'll sit there at work and I'll think, what can I listen to that's live? There's a lot of things that are just like really boring, and you know, the more exciting or interesting stuff doesn't come on until like lunchtime or whatever, and you'll just have a lot of things that are just a complete drag, or that's how I feel about it. You can feel how you want to feel. Anyway, if you want to help me out, I know I'm not asking for you to do anything for free. I mean, you can listen to my music on Spotify or whatever, and I make money off of that quarterly Ben Jam, all capitals, BEN asterisk JAM, Southern Gospel, baby. I'm more punk rock than punk rock. I'm Southern Gospel. I'm old school. Woo. They have new gospel now. They're ruining Southern Gospel just like they ruined rock and roll. You know, but whatever. Over there in the corner, whoop, I'm looking at two different things: how I look on a cell phone and how I look on a computer screen. So computer screen, cell phone. Over there in the corner, you can see all of my fiction books on Amazon. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read, I think, pretty much all of them for free. As you turn the page, every page turn, I kind of, you nickel and dime it. I get like a minute amount of something. You can buy them. They're inexpensive. I have comics on there. I have novels on there. I have novellas on there, serials, yada, 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 yada. Anyway, yeah, I get paid for that type of stuff monthly, like whatever it pulls out. Worldwide, print on demand, all that goodness. It doesn't matter where you are on the entire planet. I reckon that you can go ahead and get those. I don't know how they would ship to Antarctica. I know there's a few bases down there. That would be amazing if I saw somebody bought a book in Antarctica. I mean, I'd be wild. But yeah, I get sales here in the United States, uh, Canada, all over in Western Europe. I've got them from other places too, but mainly that, French, Spanish, German speaking, places. There's a few places that presumably they yodel. I've never been, but yeah, in that area. I love you all. Some of them might even speak like some kind of a Slavic tongue, uh, based on where they are. But yeah, love you all. Love everybody. That's all I got for you right now. Hopefully you were entertained, amused. I didn't bore you to tears. You were listening in the background or looking at my pretty face. It really don't matter. It's all good. I just think it's lame to just go ahead and like stick an icon of yourself up there instead of just like getting on camera and doing it. I get it. You don't have to comb your hair, brush your teeth, or whatever. But yeah. Bye bye.